So welcome, Katie. Thank you so much for sparing some time today.
Oh, thanks, Lucy. No, you're very welcome.
Really great to meet you here at the Mad World Festival.
Yeah.
There's been a lot going on. There's a whole specific strand on DE&I, which I know is one of your, passion subject areas.
Absolutely.
So can you give us a bit of an intro?
Yeah, well, basically, I sort of came to D&I quite late, really, because I lived as a man for 48 years before finally admitting to myself that I'm a transgender woman and that I need to do something about it. And I fought against it. And when I had gender dysphoria, which is a great feeling of unease and distress caused by a mismatch between how I felt in my head and my heart, i.e. my gender identity, as opposed to my primary sex characteristics, like what's between my legs and what was on my birth certificate. And so I tried to conform. I tried to be the person that I thought that others wanted me to be. And so, I didn't want to be trans. I didn't choose to be trans. But at the age of 48, my gender dysphoria increased dramatically because it's something that can vary over time and very often does increase over time. And that's exactly what happened with me. I wasn't expecting it at all. But then it did, and it really hit me. And so there's a whole journey that sort of, that led to me to discovering my true gender identity. But once you know your true gender identity, you can't unknow it. So what now? I was relieved that I knew it, but then I was really scared that what am I going to do with this now? Because I had so much that I could have, so much to lose. I had. I had a happy home life. I had a successful business, and could I put all of that in jeopardy just for this new piece of information eating away at me? I didn't think that I could, and so I came out very publicly as being transgender, and I've been a photographer and filmmaker for 37 years, and my photography and video business was named after my old male name, which was Martin. So it's Martin Neeves Photography and Film. And the trouble is, when I came out, it had been an established brand for 22 years, and I got loads of great reviews that all referring to Martin. And so I just felt that I couldn't change the name of that business. And so I just felt that what I had to do was detach myself from the brand. So instead of being Martin from Martin Neeves Photography and Film, I'd be Katie from Martin Neeves Photography and Film, even though I was the only person working in that business. So what I did was I made a coming out video. And I sent it to all my clients, and I put it on all my social media. Go big or go home. And I can't begin to impress on you how frightened I was because I didn't work for any companies. I wasn't. I was self-employed. So I wasn't protected by any employment laws. So if my clients had an issue with my being trans, then the phone would stop ringing. I'd lose all my income, my reputation, everything gone. And so I was petrified. Anyway, I remember my finger nervously hovering over the mouse, knowing that as soon as I clicked the mouse to make the video live, my life would never be the same again. I clicked the mouse and I waited. But then I had to go on a job. My mind wasn't on the job at all. I took the photos as quickly as I could, and I couldn't wait to get back to see what was happening on Facebook, because that was the first social media I put it on. And I needn't have worried, because when I got back, I was inundated with hundreds of messages of support. It was amazing. I felt so loved. I didn't do any work for 3 whole days because I was replying to all these lovely messages of support. And it was absolutely incredible. And then I started vlogging my journey, and to do 2 things. One is to reach out to other trans people to let them know that it's okay to be trans, because it really is okay to be trans. And the other thing is to educate everybody else, and just to show everybody else that trans people are just ordinary people who want to be happy, and that's it. And then what happened was that my story got picked up in the media, and I started doing interviews for local radio and local newspapers, and then it escalated, and I started doing interviews for national radio and television and national newspapers and magazines. So all of a sudden I've become this trans ambassador, or gobby trans woman as I prefer to call it. And then that led to me forming Cool to be Trans, to do trans awareness training, inspirational speaking and presenting, and now I do that to organisations all over the world, and I absolutely love it. And my main thing is positivity, because you see so much negativity and so much misinformation about trans people in the mainstream media, on social media, and also in Parliament. We're seeing so much of that, and it's increasing. We're going backwards with this, really, really. And so, but my main thing is to try and focus on the positive side of it, and just to show that the only reason we transition is to be happy. That's all. And since I started my transition, I mean, I've been in transition now for 6.5 years, and I still haven't finished. I'm still on that journey, but I'm living my truth, and I can't stop smiling now. I'm so happy now. It's just great, and so that's what I want to get across to people, that we're not people that should be pitied. Be happy for us because we're living our truth. That was quite a long answer, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's so important.
Edit that one then.
And I love the simplicity of it just being about being happy. I think maybe there's sort of like some negative thinking out there, like as if trans people want to ruffle feathers or sort of, cause controversy or, to be radical. But really, it's just simple.
We just want to be happy.
Happiness, which everyone wants.
Everyone deserves that, don't they?
Yeah.
We all want to be happy. But it is all that negativity that we see, and it's ridiculous. And we see it so much in the media, and they're just making something of nothing. It's talk about trans women being in women's spaces and stuff. And, for most women, most cisgender women, that's non-trans women, it's not an issue. It's really not an issue.
Yeah,
it's not an issue at all. But they're just trying to. It's just that the anti-trans people are just sort of stirring things up to make it look like an issue, but it's really not.
Yeah.
No, I always think that it's a very vocal minority that bring the anti-trans stuff up. I think they make it out to be a big deal, and then you speak to any individual who and ask them for their opinions, and they're like, "Well, I'm okay."
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, I was really worried, how I'd be received and everything. But in real life, I don't have problems generally. I just people accept me for who I am, and I'm liked and I'm loved for exactly who I am. And that's wonderful. But on social media, I get hate every day. Every single day, I get hate, but because I'm so visible and because I'm gobby, because I put myself out there, So and it tends to be more trans women than trans men. I mean, trans men do get it, but it tends to be more trans women that the hate's focused on. And any visible trans woman, we all get it. And I had it as an instance this year that J.K. Rowling targeted me, and she put a series of tweets out about 10 high-profile trans women, and I was one of them. To her 14 million followers on Twitter, or X it is now, and then those series of tweets were then republished in full by the Daily Mail and also by the Sun. And it went worldwide, and it was even the story even ran in the New York Times. It was on TV News in Australia. I was talking about it on BBC One News at 10, and BBC Radio 4, The World at 1, and it just went worldwide. And although I get hate every day, nothing could have prepared me for the hate that I received in the 2 weeks following the J.K. Rowling targeted me. And so many people don't realise how vicious she is, and she's bullying. She's a bully. Well, that's what it is, and she's and so many people don't realise that, and she's misusing her fan base, because yes, she's done amazingly well for herself, and all credit to her for writing the books that she did and all the rest of it. Fair enough, take nothing away from her for that, but she's misusing her fan base to spread hate, and it's harming me and my trans friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about how this goes? So you are supporting an organisation, and they might, this might be really new as a subject matter for them. What does it look like?
It's all about storytelling. That's the key to it. Because
it's a theme today.
Well, it really is, though, because if you get someone, you get a lot of non-trans people that do trans awareness training. That's fine, but it doesn't land as well as when you've got a trans person standing there telling their story, actually living it. Because it's no use just saying, this is what you can say, this is what you can't say, this is the theory of it, blah, blah, blah. But if you've actually got someone standing up there and saying, this is how it was for me, this is how it is for me, I live this every day, people can see it, they can empathise with it, and they can see that, I didn't want to be trans, I didn't choose to be trans, I fought against it, I tried not to be for 48 years, but look how much happier I am now, and And it looks funny. I mean, I look at my coming out video quite regularly because I play it when I do my sessions, and it, you can see how worried I was and red-eyed and how stressed I was at that stage, and I just feel so much happier now, so much freer now. It's amazing, and so when I do my talks and training, it's all based around my story to begin with. I hang everything on that story, and then I add other bits onto it. And in with that story, what I do is when I tell my story, I put loads of humour in it, because I think if you can make people laugh, then they'll like you, they'll listen to what you've got to say, they'll remember what you say, and crucially they'll understand it. And it really does go in, and so it works. And so that if you don't know anything else, the storytelling is the most important bit, because you've got to win their hearts and minds. You can't just tell them that this is the PC thing to say or do or whatever. You can't do that. Doesn't work. It might work for a very limited amount of time, but you've actually got to win their hearts and minds, and they've really got to get it. They've really got to get it, and I think people do when they hear it, and they think, oh yeah, what would I do if I was in her shoes?
Well, I suppose ultimately with any sort of education, you want people to, through the education, build confidence around the subject matter. So it's not just like, well, this language is correct and this language isn't, and have that in your head, like to have this tick box exercise, like this is the right. It's truly understanding and feeling it and empathising or sympathising, and then actually, even if people get their language wrong sometimes, or they get confused, it's about something deeper, isn't it? And actually lifting us all up so that we all can represent and.
Well, I think a lot of people are frightened to talk to trans people, and I find a lot of people are frightened to talk to me, so I'm very scary.
We're terrified.
But a lot of people are frightened to talk to me before they meet me, because they're worried about saying the wrong thing, whatever. But I'm very quick to put them at ease, and people can ask me anything in my sessions. The Q&A sessions are no holds barred. There has never been a question that I've refused to answer. I will answer absolutely anything. I have no shame.
What do people ask you?
Oh, all sorts of things. What's between my legs? All sorts of stuff. That's the common thing. I don't mind telling people I'm pre-op at the moment in terms of lower surgery. I don't mind that going out. That is absolutely fine. I've had top surgery. I'm still on the waiting list. I've been in transition for 6.5 years. I'm still on the waiting list for lower surgery. I wish I could have had it done by now, but I can't, because the waiting list is just it's a slow process, very slow process, and people have just got to get less hung up about it. But it's a very common question that people ask, and it's fine. It's but it just. I was going to say gets out there. That's probably the wrong thing to say, really, isn't it? I'm not going to get it out there. I'm not going to get it out there. It's not that kind of show, is it? No. You're going to tell me it is now. We can change the lighting. We were talking about having these. No. We won't. I think we're going down a rabbit hole here, aren't we?
I tell you, I did have a question. It's kind of linked to what you were talking about before, and it's advice as much as anything. So. A few years back, I noticed I was getting asked more and more. So my background, I'm a business psychologist. I was getting asked more and more to talk about D&I. And I did it a few times. I did a few sessions, and I just felt a real discomfort around it, because I was like, I am a, coming up middle-aged, like white male, straight, I'm not diverse. So I didn't feel I had an authentic voice around it at all. And it was more because I was like, why are they paying me to do something like this when they could be paying someone who's got an authentic voice around it? So I actually started turning those gigs down, and I do now. So I will talk about it as part of, we talk about leadership and you talk about inclusion, right? And it comes in. So I'll talk about it as a subject, but I won't speak directly on it anymore. Do you think that's the right thing to do?
I do, Just pass it on to me.
That's fair. That's fair.
But that's the thing. I think it is much better to do that and just get an authentic voice, just to say. In fact, I had another conversation with Barry Boffey, who was the opening speaker today at the D&I conference, and he's a friend of mine. And we had exactly the same conversation. And he was sort of saying same sort of thing. Getting specialists in to talk about this, because it's a real niche. It's a real niche area. And it's very easy to get wrong. But when you've got someone authentic who's actually living that, just saying it. And I think the thing is that lots of people think that they've never met a trans person. They would have probably met loads out in their life, but a lot of them they wouldn't have known they were trans. I mean, when I'm walking down the street, most people don't know that I'm trans. Okay, when they hear my deep voice, then they probably do. But when they see me, they probably don't realise. And so, that's the case. But then, it's funny, like with my voice, because I'm talking about this all the time, I don't try so much. Whereas if I'm going, say, into a shop, for instance, that's when I'll try, because I have had voice coaching, whatever, and I can do it. But I'm just more about authenticity, and this is my authentic voice. The reason I've got a deep voice is because I've been through male puberty. Well, I've been through male puberty. Yeah, I'm a transgender woman. It's just, but I'm still a woman. It's just one of those things. But and it's just getting people to relax about it. And once they actually know somebody who's trans and they've have the opportunity to talk to people like me and to hear our stories, then they just chill out about it and they realise, oh yeah, they're just ordinary people. They just want to be happy. Don't mean anyone any harm at all. It's not that big a deal to most people. It's a big deal to us, obviously. It's a hell of a journey to go on, but we're not causing any harm to anybody.
Got a slightly controversial thought / question. Do you think there's a lack of diversity in the DEI industry? As you looked out on the audience today, did you see a diverse set of people?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes and no. Some yes, others no. I think there's some way to go with that. But then again, not all diversity is visible.
Visible, that's fair.
So you can't always judge that, because you could sort of see a white middle-aged bloke there, but then he might be neurodiverse, so you don't know. So I think there's some way to go with that, but we've all got to start from somewhere, haven't we?
Yeah.
Well, it's great. It's great to know that you're out there having these conversations.
I'm definitely out there.
Yeah. No.
Couldn't be more out if I tried.
Offering this support to organisations, because organisations can't suddenly be like, oh right, well, where's our trans person in the organisation? Let's put them in the C-suite, or it doesn't quite work like that. It takes time, doesn't it, to have a more diverse leadership team and a more diverse C-suite. So what we need is really good external people to offer that support and help the organisation, so that in time maybe they will have better recruitment policies that are more inclusive. But
also some of the mistakes that some companies make is sometimes they'll if they've got a trans person in the organisation, they'll expect them to then effectively train everybody else and expect them to be a wonderful trainer or whatever. But that might not be what they want to do. They might want to do it, but then they might not be. They might be a bit more shy, and they might want to be in the background, and they might hate public speaking. So it's much better to get a professional in to come and do it. Another thing another mistake they make is often they'll get people like me in for things like Pride Month or Trans Awareness Week, Transgender Day Visibility, all these other ones, the days and weeks and whatever, and that's fine. But then they'll put it all over their social media and everything is, oh, aren't we great? Look at all done, and then it stops. That's it. That's it, and they don't follow up. But then what they do is they do it just for a voluntary audience. Well, usually that voluntary audience are people who are already on side anyway. So you end up preaching to the converted. And while it serves a purpose, it helps to further their education. It doesn't really do anything to change the culture in the workplace. If they're serious about changing the culture in the workplace, then everyone's got to be trained. Now, they might not be at a point where they can mandate it yet. Most companies aren't. But there's ways that they can do it. And I did a series of trans awareness training sessions for Leicestershire NHS Partnerships Trust. And again, they were voluntary to attend, and to begin with, we just started getting the usual amount that would come to that. But once we've done a few sessions, people realised that actually they were entertaining sessions and that they were fun. There was lots of humour in it. They actually enjoyed it. They were being entertained while they were educated, and they loved it. And then they were telling all their colleagues, and then we were getting huge audiences. And that's how the word spreads. And so if you can get someone engaging to come in and do it and have a series of them, then you don't have to mandate it. It happens organically. It just works. It's brilliant, and it's just and people enjoy it. And it's not hard work. You're not having to sort of browbeat them into doing this diversity inclusion training. It's nothing like that at all. It's just they're in there. They're having fun. They're being educated. It's a win-win.
Yeah. I work in an NHS trust in a part-time job, and the diversity and inclusion modules in the e-learning are they're mandatory.
Well, that's
training.
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I don't know if there's one on transgender colleagues, but I'm going to have a look.
Yeah. And what format are they like online training? Or
Yeah, so they often are complemented by there'll be a live session that you can go to,
Right.
but I guess with clinical demands it's sometimes a bit difficult. But I'll have a little look. Maybe we can get you in.
I'd love to.
North Bristol NHS.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Yeah, but it's something that it just brings it to life much more. I think. So I think there's a place for on-demand training, but it's never going to be as good as if you've got someone a speaker who's telling their story and bringing it to life. I think it really does hit home much better. I think it's much better way of approaching it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, thank you for sharing with us today, because I feel like even just for me personally, our conversation today has helped build my confidence in this in this space.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know quite a bit more about me now than you did before I walked in this pod, didn't you? That's true.
The sharing pod.
Yeah, exactly.
There's been some good sharing in here today, generally.
What goes on in the pod stays in the pod.
Yeah, plus the podcast.
Yeah,
plus Spotify.
Oh, nobody's watching or listening, are they? Oh no! Oh, I forgot about all the microphones and the cameras everywhere.
What have you enjoyed most about today? So far, not finished.
Apart from being in here with you two, just meeting people and it's. I always love these sort of things, where you're meeting like-minded people who are. They're already on side, and so you don't have to sort of give it a hard sell or anything. It's just great, and also friends who I've seen at other events as well, and other speakers. It's great, and looking forward to doing my session later on.
Yeah. And just generally, it must be. I mean, how many years have you been doing your consultancy?
5 years now.
5 years. Yeah. So it's nothing new, but that must have felt quite different when you first came into the space.
Yeah, it did.
Compared to filmmaking.
Yeah, and photography. Completely different. Yeah. I love it. Absolutely love it. And I think I'm just a natural show off. I mean, I just love it. And I just love being in front of an audience. And although I do a lot of stuff virtually, there's nothing to beat standing up in front of a real audience, because you can really work them, can't you? Because I think laughter is infectious. If you can make one person laugh, then it spreads to other people. Whereas online, it doesn't. Virtually, it doesn't work so well, because there's no atmosphere there. So you have to work a lot harder doing that. Especially if it's a webinar, and so they've all got their cameras off. So you're just talking to the camera for that amount of time. You really have to boost the energy level up to.
It's hard, isn't it? You've got to really work hard to kind of get the message across.
Because when that all started in COVID, that was all new to me, because I'd never done any online training before COVID, and to begin with, I found it really difficult, because I'd just been so used to standing in front of a live audience. But I've got well used to it now, but I still prefer a live audience.
It's tiring as well, right?
It is.
It's tiring staring into a camera for a number of hours and trying to keep people engaged when you can see really they just want to read their emails.
The only advantage is that you can do it from home, you can do it in your slippers.
Don't get me wrong.
You don't have to get dressed below the waist.
No commute.
Right up my street.
Exactly. Yeah. So and I quite often did it with a cat sitting next to me, and I'd be stroking him, and then he'd get fed up with me stroking him. Then he'd turn around and bite me, and I tried not to show people that I was in agony.
And where's home?
I live in Leicestershire.
Leicestershire, maybe you did say that before. Yeah.
I travel all over the place, and I find myself coming down to London more often than not. Most of the D&I work tends to be in London. I find that, certainly for me, there doesn't seem to be much anywhere else in the country. And I don't know why that is. It's really odd. I mean, I do a bit in other parts of the country, but most of it, certainly the live stuff, tends to be in London.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I think, what we know from our community and that sort of the membership base, like a lot of the big well-being D&I jobs are London-based. But I mean, there's, people perhaps doing that job but from somewhere else, but the company might be based here. I mean, that's not to say that there isn't plenty of D&I people out there, but just in our community, a lot of it's London
Probably
centric,
is.
isn't it?
Probably is. Yeah, if you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, our ambition with the working well community is actually for it to be global, like not exclusive. Like these are issues are the same everywhere. We need to talk. Everyone needs to talk about them. So
and the only way they differ is in different cultures, where and different laws and everything. And and obviously you look at places like in America and how like anti-trans, a lot of the states are turning now. A lot of the red states are really anti-trans, and the anti-trans laws that are coming. But we've got anti-trans laws here in the UK as well, and it's just. But and then different countries, have got some countries have got really high murder rates of trans people, and you places like Brazil, is really high, and it's the highest in the world. So there's a lot, there's a lot to think about. But the core issues are the same.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, thank you for sparing some time to chat to us today.
Thanks for inviting me in.